Hey there, good Thursday morning. It is July 18th. Thank you so much for tuning in for our KHOU 11 News morning update. I know a lot of you come back every morning and tune in, so you guys know the drill. But if you're just watching us for the first time, this isn't like a newscast. It's just a conversation. We're running down some of the top stories that you're clicking on KHOU.com or that you're maybe sharing or commenting on our Facebook page. So we want to dive right in to a still developing story out of Kyoto, Japan. And it's just a horrible, horrible story. There are reports that at least 33 people are dead in a fire at an animation studio. So this all happened overnight. We don't have a lot of details, but what we have heard from witnesses and folks who made it out of the building, they say a man walked in, started pouring gas everywhere, screaming, "You die." There were about 70 people in the building when that happened. And again, the death toll has continued to grow as fire crews have made their way through this building. Earlier, it was at least 20 dead. Now it's looking like more than 30. I think the last number I saw was 33, and there were no other folks missing. So just an absolutely horrific scene in Japan. Over the coming hours, the next couple of days, we'll hopefully learn more about what led up to this and what could have led someone to perform this kind of act, which is absolutely heinous. So our thoughts and prayers go out to that community and the animation community, because this is an organization that's very well known for a lot of anime, a lot of popular films. So folks on social media are sharing their prayers. Next up, kind of a strange discovery at a North Houston warehouse. This is at I-45 and Cavalcade. The owner of a metal recycling shop called because his burglary alarm was going off, called 911. Police show up. They saw 3 or 4 suspects inside on the surveillance cameras. The guys ran off. So as officers are searching for them, they go to another warehouse and find a body. And they say it looks like this man has been dead for several days. So it's not linked to the burglary at all. We don't have a lot of information about this one. We'll update it on KHOU.com as we get more details, but very weird situation. By the way, police did catch one of the suspects. The other 3 guys, though, are still on the run. That was one breaking news story we tracked all morning on H-Town Rush. Here's another one. This bus crash in Rosenberg. Did you see this? It's a charter bus. It's Transportes del Norte. About 5 a.m. in the northbound lanes, this bus was headed north on the Southwest Freeway, and about at the Highway 36 exit, hit a median, kind of a divider for some construction. 3 people went to the hospital, we've now learned. The driver included in that just crushed the front of that bus. You can see there in our video from Air 11. The other passengers, though, the ones who weren't hurt, they walked to Whataburger. They went and got breakfast, maybe a honey butter chicken biscuit. But pretty scary scenario. You're driving up, it's still dark. We don't know what the cause of this crash is. We have been in touch with Rosenberg police. They say they are investigating that. Now I want to update you on an investigation KHOU has been working on since Earth Day. Remember when we got this video that showed a City of Houston waste management truck mixing trash and recycling into the same bin? Then we found out all of that was being sent to the landfill. So all that time you spent separating your cardboard from your plastic, from your glass, it was worthless because it was all going in with the rest of your trash anyway. Well, our investigative team has crunched the numbers from January 1st to May 31st of this year. And Jaime, go ahead and roll this graphic because it's really cool what they put together. But here's what they found. 333 loads were taken to the landfill from 123 different trucks. That all adds up to 2.6 million pounds of recyclables that were dumped in the landfill. And that is just this year. That is just from January 1st to May 31st. Houston city leaders are reacting to this. They're pointing the blame at waste management and the leadership there. You can read all of that on KHOU.com, but our investigative team has stayed on this. So many of you when we first showed that video on Earth Day, said, that's not the only place where it's happening. It's happened in my neighborhood. And we got digging, and boy, did they find some unsettling information there. So they're going to keep following up on this story. Keep sending us your tips if you see something like this happening in your neighborhood. And I do encourage you to check out that article on khou.com, because they put a lot of time and effort into going through all of those documents. And there were a lot. You'll see that in the article. Finally, let's have a little fun this morning. Take a look at this picture. Yeah. So my 13-year-old ate all of these. I call them Otter Pops. That's what I grew up calling them. So I posted this on Facebook last night, and people were like, what are you talking about, Otter Pops? What are Otter Pops? You guys, a lot of you call them something else. So here's a couple responses. This guy says Otter Pops. They are Otter Pops. So that's the brand name I grew up with. John calls them Pop Ice. And we've seen some variation of that. Freeze Pops is another one from this Twitter user. What's next? Ice Pops. Ice Pops. And she says, I find these constantly in my boys' room. Yeah, that picture I showed you, that's like one afternoon from my 13-year-old. She just gobbles those things down. I think there are a couple more. Yeah. Oh. Look at all those. She grabs them by the handful out of the freezer, plops them in a cup, and then just eats them one at a time and puts the dead soldiers back. I don't know if it's like a tally. I don't know what she's doing there. But she eats a lot of them. She eats a lot of those and a lot of pop pies. Also, she ate all of my shepherd's pies. All of my little microwave shepherd's pies, which are my go-to. I work such weird hours and eat at such weird times that really microwave is probably the best way to go for me. So I eat a lot of, I will endorse that, Blake's shepherd pies. So good. She ate them all. So I had to go restock yesterday. Forecast, it's gonna be hot, guys. 20% chance of showers. But temperatures in the mid-90s, feeling very much like triple digits, and it's going to stay that way for a little bit. Blake was holding out the hope of a cool down next week, but it'll be a few days, and probably not that cool because it's summer in Houston. All right, comments and questions. What do you got for me, Jaime?
We'll start by saying good morning to some of our viewers. Thanks to Jessica, to Diana, to Elizabeth for watching. Thank you for joining us this morning. Just kind of scanning over some of these comments. People kind of concerned for the folks on the charter bus that crashed in Rosenberg. I can imagine that if I was on that bus, I probably would have been asleep at that time. So imagine waking up to that.
To a crunch.
Yeah.
And just that jolt.
Oh my gosh, that.
But their day did take a turn. They went to Whataburger.
Yes. So it's.
And we do know 3 people. No one was critically injured, but 3 people did go to the hospital. One of those is the driver, as you would imagine, with the front crunched like that.
Yeah. Let's see what else is saying. Oh my gosh, let's see. Yes, Patty, in regards to the recycling story from the investigation team, she said they did that to her recycling back in December. So that's one we don't even have documented yet, which is crazy. You think about those numbers were just for the first, not even half of the year. Wow. January 1st from May 31st, 2.6 million pounds of recycling. And I think about how much time, I don't have curbside recycling in my little HOA area, kind of in Edo. So I have to separate all of my stuff and load it in my car and drive it to a recycling center. And I have faith that maybe that, because it is a recycling center, everything goes where it's supposed to. But who knows? So much frustration. Yes. In regards to the Otter Pops, Heather says that she's always called them Otter Pops her whole life, but her husband calls them Ice Pops. Growing up, I don't think I ever really had a name for them. I think I generically always just call them popsicles.
I think it's like Kleenex or Q-tips. It's that kind of deal. Otter Pops are the brand that we had back home, so that's what we ended up calling them. Just like Kleenex is tissue.
Right.
So freezer pops, ice pops, going to have to rethink this. I never questioned it before until a bunch of people on Facebook told me I had lost my mind.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because, you know, during the summers, my grandmother used to have like a freezer in the garage just full of them. And we used to just hit it over the course of the day. I don't think I could kill as many as your daughter did, but but yeah, I had my fair share during some hot summers in Fort Bend County.
So. Ooh, so now, very important question. Favorite flavor? There's only one correct answer.
Oh, I don't know.
Which color?
I think I always like the red. I always like the red ones.
That's not correct. Jaime, you're done. The correct answer is blue. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody has their own preferences.
Well,
but blue has always been the most, like the blue raspberry, that's the go-to.
It's a great flavor, but, you know, then you're left with quite a bit of evidence, you know, when you realize how many pops when they've asked how many pops you've had, and your tongue is colored blue, and
oh, the kid's mouth is purple.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. Because that's all she's eating when she's not eating my shepherd's pies.
Yeah.
Not that I'm holding a grudge or anything.
It's funny. Actually, this is getting quite a bit of response, which is great. Kelly says the East Coast says that they calls them ice pops or freezy pops, but she has heard them called otter pops. So.
Belize is another one that I heard too.
What is that?
Belize.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
A couple folks commented over on Twitter that's what they were called. And then I had to figure out how to say it because I never heard it before. And I had to go on one of those YouTube pages where they talk into the hypersensitive microphone, AMSR or ASMR, I think it is. And it's all about like really crisp, quiet sounds. To each their own. Some people are really into that. There's like a whole YouTube community that is devoted to that. It freaks me out. So I got in and out of that as fast as I could. As soon as I heard she said Bolice, we're done. Yeah.
You know, what's great is it was always a very sort of cheap option when you wanted, a cold treat. You know, and I think it's, especially also if you had, a lot of kids, I think it was a great way to kind of, keep everybody satisfied.
Ooh, I was going to say one guy offered up a suggestion. He says at H-E-B, they have Sonic Ice Pops. There's only 2 flavors, but he says they're awesome. He wishes they would add more flavors. That advice comes from Steve Lee. So if you really like them, I don't know. It sounds like they're Sonic brand. I've not done research on this, guys. But maybe they're like the slushy flavors.
Oh, that sounds good.
Know. Maybe I'll do some investigative work later this afternoon. There's an H-E-B on the way home. All right, time to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to pop back into the comments and respond to you guys, answer any of your questions. But in the meantime, we will have another update coming up at 2:15. Yeah, 2:15, and then I'll be back tomorrow, which will be Friday.